Hey peeps, how's it going? Good morning, happy Monday. Welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips a la Ann. I don't know, Shay Ann. I decided to do pretty much my show this morning, but not working on anything in particular, working on Fire Giant because I do want to get some progress on him. I hope you all are having a happy Monday so far, more or less. Settle down, Kiri, settle down. Kiri is like uppity and wants to be all over the place. And anybody, hopefully they saw my note over in Reaper chat. I tried to go over to the Reaper Twitch and make a note that I'm going to be over here today. Because, Justin texted me yesterday and let me know that they didn't finish. And that they had programmed time this morning to finish setting up the brand new studio at Reaper headquarters. So, that's exciting and awesome. But he couldn't start the show for me. So, I decided to, once again, make sure you guys got your fix. Let's see here. Hey, everybody. I'm just going to say hi. Vacation when you log into your personal computer and not your work computer. It's so true, Dragon Eye. Except then when you work from home, you're just like, wait. I don't know. My work computer and home computer lines are blurred. I have two work computers and one computer gaming computer. I guess that means it's my home computer. You can drink while on your home computer, right? I guess that's true. Hooray for the new studio, yes. Yes, exactly. Aw, I'm glad you love the picture of Kiri on the Patreon. Yeah, my old girl's getting older. Like, I can see that she's definitely getting older. She's slowing down a little bit. She's got a bit more, like, uncomfortableness in her hips. And she's got good hips, but, any dog, when you get older, especially big dogs, they get a little arthritic. So, yeah, she's a good girl. All right, just checking what you all are saying. Yeah, I need to prep my stuff. Actually, I should show you my awesome thing that I'll be working on during the con. And I think that Proctor has already been working on this, but it's too awesome not to try to work on. So actually, let me get this clipped. But John, Reaper John sent me some of the ReaperCon minis. So thank you, John. If you're in chat. If you're not in chat, I'll thank you otherwise. Kiri will be 13 in January, so that is for sure. Aw, thanks for the sub. Thanks for the sub, Tiamat, Margaret. Awesome. Yay, I love to get subs. I'm so happy. This, I gotta say, guys, like, when I got into this Twitch thing, let's go over to live scene here. But when I got into this Twitch thing, I didn't have real high expectations. I was like, well, we'll give it a try. We'll see how well we do. And we'll give it a few months, right? But I have to say, you guys have been so very generous, and it's really blown my mind, actually. The Twitch is doing very well, like more than warranting enough time for me to add, do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the coming month. I'll probably do that in September. I'll add an extra day. Because you've just all been awesome. And I'm like, well, that's because really when you're freelancing, right, it's time versus money. So you're like, I really enjoy streaming, but if I don't make a certain amount, then I'm just like, I gotta be working on other things, right? And the great thing is I can still work on commissions while I stream for myself. And that's lovely. That, might get a little tedious for you guys sometimes if I'm working on the same thing, but I could try to switch it up. But yeah, I just wanted to say a big thank you because you guys have supported me so very generously on the Twitch stream here for myself. And I really am happy and I'm excited to try to grow it. So, oh yeah, Sword has looked good for a while, needs help though, Pendrag. David keeps growling at me. I'm gonna paint at ReaperCon, guys. I'm gonna do the pro tip stream and I'm gonna be painting Pirate Dude, One-Eyed Willie. I really love this. The details on this are so awesome. I'm sure you've all seen it. I think Michael was painting it. But I need to deal with the vents there so that it all fits together. Thanks, Felonius. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. But this is such a great, and for those of you who are children of the 80s like me, or just love the 80s and watched Goonies, this is so awesome. Like, David complained because the piles of coins were too symmetrical, and I'm like, no, you don't understand. That's how it looked in the movie. More or less. Oh, the knobbly bit on the wheel? Yeah. But you know what? It's an ancient pirate throne. Like, I don't care if it's broken. It probably would break, right? I mean, the wheel's probably made of wood. It's gonna rot. Oh, thank you so much, Net Nation. Thank you so much. Wow, look at you guys. And Val with the gift sub to Felonius. Awesome. Sweet. And thank you, Iggy, for that gift sub to Detonations. Awesome. You guys are so cool. You're so cool. Yeah, so I'm not too I mean, and if I want to, I mean I can fix it with a little just put a wire like you're pinning it right there, and it'll be pretty easy to just sculpt a little bit of green around there and then make a little ball of green and pop it on top. And you're good. So easy to fix, easy to fix. But I do love the details on this piece, and I adore it very much so. And I might just have to look up that scene in Goonies, because as I recall, there's a strong overhead light on him, like coming through the deck up above or something. He's got a big, strong spotlight on him in the movie. So, oh wow, Numbat with the gift subs. Awesome. Thank you so much. I have to thank you. Wait, I have to get to the button. Oh my gosh. It's so hard. Twitch requires hand-eye coordination on levels that you're not used to. And we've busted our level 1 hype train. Thank you so much. See, Orcpotamus, now you have a thing too. So this is the ReaperCon Mini. You can get it, I think, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can get it in a swag box. I don't know if they have individuals for sale up on the store. But yeah, if you love Dead Pirate King on Throne like I do, then totally go over and check it out. Most ReaperCon miniatures are for sale during the con. Thank you for all of the subs. I think that's still Numbat's gift sub. We're on a level 3 hype train. Wow, fantastic. Oh, yay. You guys are so cool. You're just so great. Wow. Detonation, paying forward the gift. Thank you. Thank you for the sub on the channel there, Detonation. That's fantastic. So yeah, anyway, I'm so excited. And during ReaperCon, most of the ReaperCon, oh, and the cheered with the bits. I do love the bits. The bits are fantastic. I like the little happy noise it makes. I'm so simple. But anyway, so during ReaperCon, most of the ReaperCon models are up for sale on the Reaper store. Hopefully this will be one of them. Thanks, Serenity. Wow, oh, I see. And Felonious with the gift sub. And wow, it's hard to keep up with all this. How do pro streamers do it? Do they just get really good at like glancing at their screen? Jedi Ninja Druid, thank you. And seeing, you know, like who subs, like are they super fast with it? Anyway, what do we got? Getting slapped with, whoa, duty fees. That's weird. Weird, Coobs. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's odd. Anyway, so yeah, so this is one of the awesome models we have. I'm going to be painting it during the con. My stream is going to go as normal on Friday, as far as I know. I have a class on Thursday, and then this stream will go at its normal time on the Reaper channel on Friday during ReaperCon. So I'm going to work this up this week and get it to at least a point where it's fun in Zenith, and we're going to just try to do some fun stuff on it, okay? Like, maybe we'll try to speed paint it in a really cool way. I don't know, but we'll do something for my stream during ReaperCon to make it awesome. And I've got some other stuff here. I've got the giant octopus, which I have to say I had heard of, but John didn't have a picture of when we were first talking about this. But now that I have the giant octopus in hand, I really like that too. And octopi are super fun to paint. They've got so many different colors and such. So yeah. All right, so let's get to it. And then I just realized that I totally forgot my paint water, which is actually on the counter. So I'm going to grab the paint water, guys. It's Monday. You know, it's Monday. I'll be right back. Oh, with the bits cheer. Thank you. Hold on. I'll come back and see who that was in a second. Boink. Okay, Kiri, don't worry. Kiri was very worried that I darted out of the room and she came back in. Come on, girlie. We're good. We can stream, Kiri. Kiri does like streaming time. Here, Kiri, I'll even turn the temperature down so it's more Arctic for dogs with furry coats. Even if I freeze. Because I'm just that nice to my dog. Okay, who did the bits? Numbat, of course. Numbat with the awesome bits cheer. Oh, pirate. I've got a crow. I do have a crow. I have treasure chest. I think he perches up on top. That's a clever crow question. Doesn't he kind of perch like up on top of the pirate throne, maybe? It would make sense if he kind of perched in the middle there, like in here. I'll have to like examine his feet. He's got a little pin in his feet, and there's a recess right here at the top. So I'm betting that you just drill down into there and you can pin it. Yes, you can put the crow anywhere or nowhere. That's true. That's true. Since he has a pin, you could pin down anywhere in the thing. But I think on top of the throne, or maybe on his right next to him, kind of going caw. Something like that. Michael Proctor, being a crow, could do a much better call than I can. But yes. Oh, and all the other shows should be on for today. I'm sure that Miniatures Monday will go as usual on Reaper, by the way. It's just, yeah, unless Justin really, really underestimated the amount of time they need, but Pretty sure it will. Good girl. Can you settle, Kiri? Kiri's like, but you ran to get things, and I got so confused. Alrighty, we are ready to lay down some paint on this sucker. So today, what we're gonna do, let me just see. Short knob is his perch, maybe. Yeah, exactly right. Aw, thanks, Carrie Michael. Wow, you guys were already on toward the level 4 hype train. Wow, you guys are so cool. And thank you for continuing that gift sub, Carrie Michael. All right, so what we're going to do today, David keeps whining at me because this is annoying him. Val, thank you for the cheer. Thank you so much. So we're going to do something to spice up this blank area, and we're also going to do the face down here because, like, David's like, you should do the face because it's a weird surface and nobody will know how to NMM it, and he's right. So we might do the face first just because the face is cool, and that'll make our whole area up here near the giant's face look a lot cooler. So let's get closer anyway. Let's see. I'm going to hold him at about this level. I've got to hide the sword because otherwise it won't focus right. Mr. Giant. There he is. All right. So he's cool. And now we'll get our paint out real quick. So as before, we are working with our new NMM mix. Let me see what we got here. Definitely feels like Monday. Oh, Jetta, it's so true. Lurking and didn't know. Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like you get gifted a sub, and if you're like in the middle of other work because you're listening at work, then you totally lose out. So I was doing some cool Twitch research over the weekend, guys, because I've been since it went so well this first month. I decided that I would look into and do some research and see about maybe looking at some other channels because, you know, we always stream on art here, but I was wondering about the D&D channel, and I was wondering about the Warhammer channel, because, you know, on occasion I paint Games Workshop stuff on my own stream. So I was looking at viewing numbers, and it's really interesting, because I was also looking at the art channel, and normally the art channel has actually a fairly low number of viewers. If I look during the week, you know, not too many. Like, we get actually really good numbers on this particular channel for art. But then on the weekend, art just booms. Like Sunday especially. It's like everybody saves their creativity to Sunday, and then they all like tune into the art channel and like watch people draw and stuff. It's really funny. I was amused. Whereas the rest of the week, D&D is really big. Although D&D is also big on Saturday. But like there were 12K viewers on the art channel on Sunday. It was insane. So if I ever add a weekend stream, an irregular weekend stream on the art channel, then we'll have to do it on Sunday, just to throw miniature painting into the middle of all these people drawing manga and doing like watercolor paintings. Yes, and Bob Ross too. Yeah, well, Wapple definitely. I mean, Wapple is the Bob Ross of mini painting as far as I'm concerned. So all right, we are almost set. I am just setting up. I've refined my NMM gold color scheme and dropped. I actually dropped out the polished leather, except as a add-on to my highlight here. So switching it up, guys. Like I'm refining this. And yay, level 3 hype train! Yay! Sweet. Yeah, it's pretty much. Hey, Twisted Oma. Yeah. Anybody over in the Reaper chat, you know, drop a note, say, hey, Anne's over on. I can do it too. Tell people that I'm over on here. Streaming on my own Twitch today, and I'm gonna do this. You guys can pretty much assume Justin is busy. There we go. Twitch.tv. I can't type. Monday problems. There we go. Okay, that's the last time I'll do it. Yes, we have our hype train. Yay! All right, cool. So now I'm going to expand this a bit and stop looking at Reaper chat. There we are. Awesome. So I've refined my recipe. And this happens, guys, when you start playing with a new recipe for something that's complicated, like NMM gold, non-metallic metal, for those of you who don't know what NMM is. I started out with a lot more mixes and a lot more colors because gold tends to benefit from that. But then I realized I could drop a step out because there was one color I wasn't using very often. That's the polished leather. But I also wanted to maybe make my highlights really rich and yellowy. So I decided instead of doing these as 2 separate puddles to just mix them together. So now my first highlight is actually a mixture of NMM gold highlight. So 2 drops of that. 2 drops of our polished leather, which still is a great highlight for our rich leather being our base coat. One second, I'll show you all the colors in just a second. So 2 drops of that. And then a drop of, what do we remember? Our lantern yellow, right? Because that makes everything more yellowy. And if you look at pure gold, it's extremely yellow. It's crazy screaming yellow. Let's see here. If you have a piece of jewelry in front of you and it's like 14 karat versus like 18 karat, you can really see the shift. Yeah, I'm doing just a little. Since I wasn't sure how many classrooms they were going to have, I didn't want to like throw a bunch of classes in there because I don't need the Reaper swag, right? I don't need, since it's virtual, this is a chance for me to like, I'm still doing my class on Thursday and my pro tips on Friday. And then I'm just kind of relaxing, but I'll be chilling out in the Artist Alley, guys. So if you're on there now, you can see all the Artist Alley things. And there's a chat channel just for me. So if you have questions, if you're doing something, if you're painting something during the con from another class and you want to ask me a question for some reason, go for it. Post up your stuff. I don't know I assume it lets you post pictures in there, but I haven't checked that out. It would not make sense to not do so since, most students are looking for feedback. But yeah, my class is going to be a breakdown. And I'm considering doing a write-up for it. I just don't know if I'm going to have time. I have a lot of Patreon stuff to wrap today and probably a little bit more to wrap on Monday. So I'm going to have on Tuesday. So I'm like, end of the month is always so crazy for me because I've got all this stuff that I've got almost set, but I need to get it in the pipe. Like stuff I've been working on that's due by the end of the month. I tend to space out my work so I don't get too overwhelmed. Because it's easy to get overwhelmed and stressed, and I don't want that to be my experience with freelancing this time. So now we're mixing all this up. We're going to go at it. My first highlight, again, 2 drops of the polished leather 9430 from Bones, with 2 drops of NMM Gold Highlight 9303, and 1 drop of Lantern Yellow to make it a little more yellowy. Our shadow colors, I'm going with Black and Brown today, 9137, which is the close cousin to its shadow Walnut. Black and brown and walnut I kind of use interchangeably, and it depends on how black I want to go. Walnut is very near black. If you paint it onto a model and you have no other real black on the model, walnut will look like black. It will read visually like black. But the black and brown is more like a dark chocolate. It does read as a brown, not as a black. So it's I think on NMM it's a little easier to hit that dark shadow because it's just a little bit less black that you're fighting against. And on gold NMM I don't want my shadow to be black. I want it to be brown. But yeah, I'm doing oh yeah, Peterson. Yeah, actually I was watching him on Thursday, Friday. We actually rated him, Pendrake. And I gotta remember, guys, remind me, as I get close to the end, remind me to look for a raid, okay? Because I've been bad about that. I've been forgetting about it. And I need to remember these things, because we need to raid people. Kiri, what's up? Are you gonna go out there and look at David, or don't you want to be in here? She's like, I want to find out where David is. I don't want to leave the door open. He's in a meeting. She's so silly. But anyway, yeah, David Peterson's amazing, and I was watching him a little bit this weekend. I just love his drawing style. He's just so good with the pencils. Oh, his style is so good. But yeah. Hey, Trouble, how's it going? Yeah, all right, so here we are. And then next highlight up, remember, so here we go. So we got Black and Brown, 9137. We got Ruddy Leather, right, for that reddish tone, because I've got that rich reddish shadow here. Which I really want with this Fire J, and I want everything to be very warm and fiery. So I'm going with a red shadow, red gold in short. Then we're going up to 9429 Rich Leather, which is really my base for gold now. Like it's now my go-to base. And I believe this actually was a color mixed. It's called Rich Leather because Jessica Rich actually asked me for it because she used it a lot in NMM Gold. So we did a match for her. I don't know if she still does because, like I said, everybody shifts their their NMM gold recipes, depending on the model they're working on the other colors on the model and everything like that. So we've got our rich leather, and then we've got a 50-50 mix. Two drops and 2 drops of these two with a drop of lantern yellow to make it all more yellowy. Yellowy! Oh, good. Yeah, David's bus class is going to be mind-blowing for you guys, probably. He paints so different than I do. I should watch it just to get myself more in the mood to, like, paint like him, because I painted Rock Troll, right? I started Rock Troll in kind of that style, in a David Quick style, and I had a lot of fun with it. But it's like, I have to start a project like that. It's not something I can just pick up right halfway through it. Like, I couldn't start painting Giant that way, now that I've started painting him in my traditional way. So... But yeah, it's super fun. It's super fast. Like, David himself, I think he put up, he has a slideshow, and he was thinking about putting it up as a PDF. But the slideshow is very nice, kind of laying out some things to think about in colors, and showing you just how many colors there are and everything, right? So, but yeah, his style is very different, and it's more, I would say David's a little more akin to Wapple than I am, without all the crazy color. And not without oil paint, I guess, also. James is doing so much oil paint lately. All right, so let's see. Crazy Face. So first, I am actually going to use the black and brown to line this. Let's get close. Let's get close. Let's get very, very close. I'm going to back out. I do need another highlight mixed, but I will do that when I need it. So what we've got here is we've got Giant Face, and it actually does have a bit of a beard here. So if I line around the eyes... and the cheekbone, I can see that there's lines. And originally I felt like, what, is that a flaw? But then I realized that's to simulate his beard. So there's actually tiny little lines of beard here, which we are going to highlight individually because we're crazy that way. But the first thing I want to do is block in my shadows. And everywhere that there's going to be an edge, there's going to be a shadow. So I'm going to do this. I may end up adjusting these later, but in general, just a quick lining right now to make everything stand out. It's just going to make it easier for me. Gonna block in the line of the mouth because it's so NMM takes a lot of adjusting sometimes, like, and that's the best way to go into it, because it can be nerve-wracking for you if you're not used to it and you're not sure. But if you just tackle it just a little bit and without stress, just think, okay, we're gonna go slow, we're just gonna do this. We can always adjust it. Can always adjust it. I'm going to line around this a little bit too, actually. We may end up changing that up as well. But I want a dark line kind of framing this. That was a little bit messy. Just checking chat. All right, we're good. Awesome. Yay, 48 viewers. Yeah, the one thing about Twitch that I don't know if I can do is that they do say, you know, the longer you stream, the more people you tend to get. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I can really afford to stream for a zillion hours a day, but we'll see. We'll see how well we can do just by switching up our times sometimes. Alrighty, so kind of blocking that in. I'm looking around it to see if there's a rim around this area. There kind of looks like there is. Sometimes you have to get really close and kind of look and see, but it does look like there is a tiny little edge, like here. So kind of the top of his hat maybe or something. Like so. All right, and I'm going to connect that up and connect that up and connect that up and connect that up. And I think a little bit there. So evil giant face. There we go. Evil giant face and evil giant face. See any familial resemblance? I think actually I'm going to actually bring in some more shadows now to suggest more volume. So like if I look at his face, he's got that nose plate going up. So I think I want a shadow here, shadow there. I want a shadow right under here. Because remember, you're going to have a highlight up here, right? It's going to be catching the light. And right under it, you want a shadow. And we might put some black and brown in there at some point. But until that, we're gonna adjust as we go. So light is going to be falling mostly on this upper edge of things. So we kind of have to think about that. Don't make the mistake of angling the model and painting it top down this way, because in reality it should be top down this way. So I need to keep that in mind as I go, and I still need to bring out some details. So let's see, we're going to shade this area. I'm going to shade there. I'm going to shade over here. Let's see, because there's a little shadow under there. I'm going to shade here. I do want... The nice thing about using an intermediate shadow like this Ruddy Leather is that it isn't quite as dark. So you can introduce it some places and then kind of rub it out pretty easily, unlike the black and brown, which is very harsh. I think, a shadow here. And I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to go in and adjust a lot of this. I need probably a highlight. This is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting. I know, Xandercles, I know. It's because Justin texted me yesterday and said they hadn't quite finished the new studio, so he wouldn't be able to start my stream this morning. I don't have the Reaper corporate passwords for Twitch, and I don't really want that much responsibility to have them. So I cannot go over and stream on their channel without Justin. So anytime this happens, I'll post it on my Discord is when I know, usually in the announcements section. I may only know kind of last minute. Like I said, Justin only texted me last night. But if you don't see my show go on Reaper, assume I'm here. Because I like to keep to my schedule. I do like to have this kind of... Working for and doing this stream in the morning anchors my day. Which is, something you're looking for when you're freelancing. Often you want structure. And it's nice when you can have a little bit of structure, a commitment that you have to do in the morning, because then that sets your day up. There's no worry that you're ever going to kind of let the morning slide and get distracted, because the first thing you have to do is a commitment that you have to make. So let's see here. Yeah, Gaston, sorry about that. Yeah, okay, everybody's answering. Good. Yeah. Yeah, there's a ton of things going on in this giant Jetta. You're absolutely right. Yeah, I can't start the stream, Gaston. Justin has to, and so he's busy. They're really working on getting that new studio all ready to show people for ReaperCon. And also he needs his HQ set up to stream the whole con, so yeah, kind of important. Oh, good. Good. Yeah. Won't the sword block some light? Val, bloop. A little bit. But there is actually a cutout right here. If you look, let me see if I got my overlight here. Let's see about our overlight. Let's take a look, because, that's a good question. So, with my overlight, where it's shining down right here, I actually get full light, more or less full light on that shoulder. It's, because I have a slight angle, it's saving me, essentially. If you draw a line, because my light source is up here, and it's more or less there, but it'll go there. So if this sword was just a little bit more, say, like that, then yeah, like, more like this. But it's open enough and vertical enough that we're good. Good question, though. Very, very good question, Val. Oh, we're all good. No, it's just that I think everybody gets infected with answer all the questions itis, because I do. That is in the name of Anne's stream, pretty much, is answer all the questions itis. So no matter how silly the question, no matter how jokey, we will take you seriously, which may sometimes get us into trouble. Us being the royal we at this point. You're all royalty as far as I'm concerned. Alrighty. Just blocking in. Since I'm working on here, I may as well also block in that. So there is going to be a bit more of a shadow there. And another point, actually, to bring up, Val, is that even if the sword blocked a bit of light, there's also going to be a bounce light here. Like hitting this and going down there. Like there's going to be a lot of reflectiveness, because this is gold up here. So you can kind of see, if I'm getting reflected light here, this is going to get light also. If there's going to be anything dark, it's going to be this area right under the shoulder pad here, that even then it's probably getting a little glimmer of highlight. So you just wouldn't highlight it as much. You'd leave a shadow, and you wouldn't do as much. But up here on the front of the model, I'm still getting a lot of light on this. So I do want to kind of keep that in mind, although it gets complicated, right? Okay, and here's the thing to know about NMM when you're doing these little details, guys, is that as long as your NMM is more or less consistent over the model as far as the direction of light, you can get away with fudging it a bit. So maybe there would be a hard shadow here. Maybe the light would be blocked by this helmet, and this part of this should be in shadow. You can paint it that way, or you can paint it like the light, you see coming down from above. Paint it that way. As long as it looks good, you're okay. So it's this, I talk about this a lot. There's this compromise with NMM and OSL between realism and stylism. Does it read realistically or does it look good? And either one is acceptable. So some people, like David, if your light is wonky but styling, David will get irritated at you. But I won't, as long as it looks right. So you can take some little freedoms to pick out these details, even if you're feeling like this should naturally, that you should have a big cast shadow here. And I mean, if you're doing a really realistic, dramatic light source, then you can play less fast and loose, right? When you're doing a zenith light source, for example, like zenithal highlighting, where you've got a very strong light source, all shining one directional, very obvious, casting really dark shadows, then you have a lot less wiggle room on this sort of thing. Then you have to obey that shadow, no matter what. But when you're doing like me, and you're kind of just implying a light source that comes roughly from above and a little bit off angle, you have a little bit more freedom to fudge it. Oh, sure, no problem. Let me get my next highlight mixed up. So I'm going to go from my mixture of polished leather and NMM gold highlight on up to pure NMM gold highlight with a drop. That's 4 drops of NMM gold highlight with a drop of lantern yellow and a drop of pure white. It's going to make it more saturated because I'm adding the lantern yellow, but it's at the same time going to desaturate it just a tad because of the pure white. I could just go with the lantern yellow and the NMM gold. It would make it much more yellowy. I may just do that. It makes it a little more rich. If you leave the white out, you get a very much more yellow color. And it has that saturation gives you a lot of richness to your gold. If you add more white, your gold's going to be more washed out, more brassy. Because brass does not have, like, brass, if it's just a little tarnished, brass can get that very yellow reflection. But in general, brass is just a little bit colder than gold. It's not as warm. All right, so we'll get that. Smallish. Hi. All your painting is just fudging it. And you know what? You could get pretty good paint jobs that way, Sam. All right, so let's set this out. I want to do a highlight here, highlight there. Probably need to thin this a little bit more. Whenever you're adding a paint that has a lot of white in it, like NMM Gold Highlight, do add more water to it. It will make you a happier person and allow the paint to be manipulated easier, as long as you clean a lot of it off your brush. We've been talking about this a bit on my Patreon Discord, about how key it is to learn paint thinning and how to load and unload your brush. And that really is the whole answer, guys. So, like, Aggie says mood. But it's very important to look at how you load your brush and then how you unload it. When you're working with such thin paint, you gotta wipe most of the paint off your brush until it makes a really good tip. And this is how you can control the paint really easily. Like, it's not going to puddle. It's not going to get out of control. You can draw a really thin line with it. That's what you want. I say it over and over again. And lately, some of my people in the Patreon have been really leveling up. Just by pretty much paying attention to how to load and unload their brushes. So I'm going slow. I want some shadow bands, some light bands. I want this upper edge to be light, but I don't want to just make a huge bar of light up here. I want some intermediate shadow casting because that sword, because everything else, because bouncing light and blocked light, and this is a complex He's in a complex scene with complex lighting, and I don't want to be simple. I don't want to be simple about it. Plus, doing one white line across the top of this is boring. NMM is one of those things that tends to look more real the more you vary it. So I could do one white line across the top of here to symbolize that it is catching the light and this is where the light is coming from. However, because metal is much more complex than that in real life and catches so many shadows and reflections, it often will look better if you do this. If you do like highlight, shadow, highlight, and do it that way. Still taking up most of the top of that edge, and I'll be adding pure white to this too, by the way. But at the same time, you're varying it, right? Because it's a complex thing. It's normally metal's going to reflect a lot of stuff in the environment. Oh, that's way too light. I forgot to do my first highlight first. I wanted to make kind of a highlight coming down a little bit off of this top. And I want to blend in my shadows. Now I'm messing around. So essentially, what I'd like to do is kind of suggest a forehead. So I kind of wanted to make a rounded highlight. And this is funky because this is a very flat amulet. The features are sculpted onto it, but they're sculpted very flatly. But as we add highlights, it's going to look like they're more raised than they are, right? Highlights and shadows. So we're creating an optical illusion now. And I've decided I want to suggest that this forehead is rounded. So that means making the highlight somewhat rounded. So going down from this edge and doing a rounded shape. And we can create a fake effect, even though the area is flat, and make it look like it's rounded. And this, of course, would be the same thing we do if we were a canvas painter. And we were painting something that's rounded on a flat canvas. We need to suggest that it is rounded. We control the shape of our highlights and shadows. This is how you do it. I did watch a little bit of the Bob Ross Marathon this weekend on Twitch. I will admit. David's like, I can't believe you get so sucked into that. But he gets sucked into it too. He just had better resistance than me. We had fun though. Bob Ross sometimes so cheaty, but you can still learn stuff by how he does things. It makes me even more interested in picking up oils again. I know Wapple has gone way down the bunny hole with oils. Part of me is just like, you should know how to use them on miniatures, and then you can teach everybody. But I haven't touched oils since college, so not really. Okay, catch some light here. So the more we put highlights on here, the more these features are going to come out, the more everything is going to show up. And this started out being just a flat plate, really. Like, if you get this model, it will not look like this stuff is has the volume that it does when we're painting it, because we're using our paint to suggest more volume than it actually has. So now I want to actually bring up a little bit of this beard stuff. And a lot of these lines are very, very thin and a little bit indistinct, so you don't have to be very precise about it. You just want to bring up a little bit of that texture. You started prepping your oils last night. Oh boy, Dragon Eye. You are braver than me. Part of it also is just that I've got so many projects I'm working on right now for like commission work and for this thing, and for I want to finish. I got my my vellum plants for the snake lady, so I need to get her base finished and stuff like that. So I have just so many projects, and I know that if I start with oils, I'm gonna want to like go to town, and now is not the time. There probably won't ever be a good time. I'll probably have to put my foot down eventually and just say, no, we're gonna take 2 days and mess with oils. Oh, Molambo? Just like on the screen, you mean? As far as like different stages on this? Yeah, we haven't really delved into that. Usually I'm over on Reaper Miniatures Twitch. And they control the interface, really. But this morning, we have ReaperCon this week, so they're very, very busy setting up our new studio. It would be... I'd have to stop and take pictures in between the steps, which would be a little disruptive. For stuff that I'm doing for my Patreon and commissions, I could do that for sure. And I do sometimes. When I do PDFs for my Patreon people get step-by-steps when I do those. Which is very nice to break it down. But yeah, I don't know if Reaper has an interest in doing it. And I'm not sure how disruptive that would be. I guess I could do it on past projects. Oh, I see. Here's the unpainted model. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that's kind of why I'm painting in sections in some somewhat. Although, yeah, sadly, I don't have an extra one of him. But you have an excellent point. You have a very excellent point. I should probably take a before shot. Though it's all like this. Oh, we have another face to do later. But yeah, that's actually a good idea. Thank you, Malambo. I will consider that. At least having it up on I can click on this and show you guys here and there. All right, I want to put some more shadows in this. I'm going to have to come in with a little bit of harsher shadow. That needs a shadow. This is going to bounce light. I want a shadow here. I want that line there. So now we're tuning, right? So now I'm like, okay, I missed this little edge line over here with the black and brown. It actually does go down. I see that now because I see it over here. So we're going to make those step out a little bit. Highlights and shadows. Contrast, Val. It's all contrast. Too many projects. Yeah. Oh, you have vacation. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, totally. Pester James. James deserves to be pestered. Hold on. We got a question. Mathophile. On NMM, what do you do for the backsides of metals? Essentially, Mathophile, that's up to your highlighting style. For example, on Sergio, who I like to bring up. I took a class with Sergio, and I learned a lot about NMM from him. Sergio actually chooses to do a zenith front and back. So it's not a realistic lighting style, but it allows him to do the highlights and shadows on both sides. So essentially he's doing kind of a light is coming from here on the front, and then he's doing a light is coming from here on the back. Which is, as I said, not realistic, but it works. If you're doing, it kind of simulates, though, a general zenith highlight. Because if you have the light coming from straight above the model, you're going to get the same level of highlight and shadow on the front and the back. That's just the way it's going to happen. Because the light is going to be even across the whole thing. So with this, if I'm looking at a light source that's coming straight down, I could also say, well, that light source travels over the top of the model, right? It's not just coming down here, it's coming down here. If you are doing a model where you have a very strong frontal light source, like you're doing zenith, and the back of the model is in shadow, then really the only thing you're going to get is under reflections and maybe a tiny bit of bounce light, like top down, maybe if you want to. But it's probably going to be a lot of kind of under bounce light NMM. It's not going to be a lot of over the top highlights. You're just going to get a lot of underlight. You're going to have to kind of question yourself whether you want, if something like is sticking out like this, if you want to kind of pick up just a little bit of overhead light on it, as if the light might just glance off of it. But in general, yeah, you may be dealing with a different color of light. If it's bounce light, if it's bouncing off of a surface that's a different color, that's where you get really into kind of the complexities of it, Mathophile. And again, it's how you are choosing to light the model in the situation it's in. So for me, if I'm going to make it easier on myself, and I do want to make it easier on myself, because remember, this guy has a huge cape that is all these different dragon scales, right? And so I want the light to be falling here for sure, because I want to be able to bring out all those highlights on that cape. So for me, my light source, I'm going to choose to say, is kind of like this. It's an overhead light source that's slightly off angle, but it's going to be applied this way on both sides of the model. So, and nothing is cheating. Like, it's all, how realistic do you want to be, and how diffused versus directed your light source is. There are few spotlights in nature, but they do exist. If you're in a grotto and there's a strong light coming from above or something like that, a crack in the ceiling in an otherwise dark building, you know, things like this, sunlight coming down in a spot through trees. So, uh-oh. There we go. I paused the chat. I didn't realize that if I scrolled back up, it would pause chat. Sorry, guys. I do have the vellum material. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Greg sells butterflies too, Pendrake. He sells plants and butterflies. And he actually gave me extras to do a giveaway with, so I'm gonna set that up. I need David to help me with that because he's my riding herd on my personal stream admin in real time, because I don't know how to set up a giveaway, or if Planer shows up, you know, then we can set up a giveaway. Although I think David has, I think at this point, more permissions with Nightbot to do it. But anyway, we will be utilizing the vellum plants, and then when I am utilizing the vellum plants, I will do a giveaway at some point. Yeah, well, kind of, but you have to think, right, Matthephile? The sun is huge. So if the sun was shining on this guy, or he's got a huge, like, forge light up above him, then it's not, he's small relative to his light source, or he could be small relative to his light source. And so that means that this light source is going to extend over this entire area. So it's going to shine on the front, but it's going to shine on the back. And then the only thing I have to remember is the angle, because I've chosen to angle it because of all these angled surfaces. I need to remember that it is a slightly off angle when I'm doing this. So it's going to be coming in just at a tiny bit of angle to make this read correctly. Just a tiny bit of angle. And so I'll have to remember and be consistent with that on the back. So if you play WoW and you're ever in Ironforge in the middle of the city and it's got that giant pot of molten metal, I'm kind of thinking of like that, where there's a huge bright light source up above that could cast a very large light, larger than a giant. So, ooh, Rubigon, thank you for the gifting of the sub. Fantastic. And Nevwin got it. Sweet. Yeah, so you've got to think about how big your light source is, right, Matthephile? So, like I said, it's sunlight. Sunlight's going to be much larger than any giant or dragon. So, at that point, you know, the back side of the model, you just have to ask yourself where the shadows fall off. Where is the sun? Is the sun here? If the sun is shining from this angle, then it's going to fall off here. And then all of this is just going to be reflected light. But is the sun up here, like which with traditional zenith lighting, it's up above in a big diffused pattern, then it's going to hit both sides equally, just because the sun is huge. And so it'll be hitting and reflecting at various angles. Usually when you're first starting to deal with directed light, you want to deal with the straight up and down light. Although sometimes I do find it advantageous, like I said, to make it a slightly angled, ever so slightly angled light, just to give you some direction. But you usually want to start with that, because that at least lets you think about highlights and shadows with my light source is or directly overhead, and it will apply to both sides of the model. Once you got that down, you could move on. Unless you think you've got you want to jump in. I know you like to jump in with both feet. I mean, then you could try an angled light source. But then you got to be really good at your reflections, you know, to make it look right. So it's how much you're going to challenge yourself straight up. Yeah, that's what I was going to do, Pendrake. I was going to do pattern scales. I'm not going to do that many, though. No, I'm going to stick to limited palettes. So the dragon scales are probably going to be the blue-black iron, the red, and the gold. Because I'm limited palette on this for sure. Fire Giant, when you're dealing with an elemental creature, you don't want to go too far afield. Because you're really looking to suggest, you know, he's a fire giant. He is very much, you know, all about the molten flame and the forge and all of that, and hellhounds and all the rest of it. And so I don't want to put blue and green on him unless I've got the only blue I'm dealing with, remember, is my blue-black, just to give him contrast. So we got that blue in there that's just subtle to really set off that orange. So if you're doing, ooh, what do we got? Hold on, I got a happy thing. Gift sub. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Tazithus. Tazithus. Wow. Boom. I should call you Bison Rider because it's easier to say. Also, you have an awesome name. Fairy swarms. Yeah, you could. I mean, they're tiny little butterflies. You could totally make a butterfly swarm, Scrying Eye, out of that. Yeah. I mean, one thing you could do if you really wanted to use all the chromatic... Oh, that's Taz. Okay. I'll just remember that it's Taz and just say Taz then. I get confused when y'all change your names. I try to do justice to your names. How about that? Owlhorn. Well, we already highlighted the veins a bit, as you can see. This is a really complicated skin color, Owlhorn. But what I would usually use is dark skin tones, so ebony flesh and ruddy flesh, and like the Mwangi brown that Pathfinder line has. Those are all good skin tones. This is a really complicated skin tone that I mixed. I love it now, and if I were still at Reaper creating the paint line, I would make it a real skin tone. But it's a mixture of like 4 different Dungeon Dwellers paints, because when I started this model, I wanted to just use the Dungeon Dwellers colors and show what you could do with them. So I did crazy mixes. I think it's like 4 drops of the Dungeon Gray, 3 drops of Goblin Skin, 2 drops of Kobold Scale, and 2 drops of Eldritch Purple. It's insane. And then I added, did I add the yellow? I think I added the Ogre Yellow and White to bring it up. It's crazy. But I normally use any African dark skin tone, works really well on these guys. The brown really helps to be a neutral when you've got all these other fiery colors going on, and it works really well. So, formerly known as Taz. Okay. Yeah, if you look back on the Reaper YouTube, you can find this guy. Let me grab his cards so you can look him up by SKU, because Justin usually has the SKU around. So here is Skorg. 77614. So if you go looking on the Reaper YouTube and you search for this item number or for Fire Giant King, it should come up. I'm not sure how Justin names them these days, but you should be able to find the skin episode. The skin was the first thing I did, I think, on this guy. And I will talk about it. I'm just reciting that mix from memory, and it might not be quite on, but it's close. So that is, yeah, good deal. Just catching up. But yeah, if you really want the recipe and not just my like half-arsed recollection of the recipe, Nomad, look it up. Yeah, I'd have to go and reconstruct it, which I'm going to have to do anyway, actually, because I did not paint his hand. That was the one thing I missed on the original model. So the cape. Regarding the cape and the original idea that was put forth to put all sorts of chromatic dragon scales on it, and I said no because I want to do limited palette, but if you wanted to do it, you would want to just put very small accents of the blue and green scales. Like just maybe do just like a blue and green gem up here, and then maybe just do a couple. I'd almost focus them, though. I'd almost do a design down here and make, like, this center or accent color the green and blue scales. But I would keep it very small. Otherwise, if you make a lot of blue and green on this cape, it's going to look like it doesn't match him very well. Would be my concern. Now, if you're painting the entire giant that way, like if you're doing a lot of different chromatic dragon scales on all of these different little diamond shapes, then yeah, he may not look very much like a fire giant then. It depends on what you do. So with colors, I guess the way that I deal with color is I use it very much as a personality and environment indicator. So, I mean, that's how I choose colors, is I think about the model and I think about their personality and I think about what color would reflect that emotion or the state of the model or what's going on. And I work from that. So for Fire Giant, I'm very much married to the warm color scheme. And for me, anything else isn't going to read quite the same way. But you may find success with it by using it, in like maybe you do a couple of big green and blue chevrons on this, something like that. But yeah. Oh, hi, Deathly. Deathly Hallowell. Thank you for the follow. Uh-oh. Oh, my dog is up, but she doesn't look like she's in distress, so I'm good. But yeah, thanks for the follow. Welcome. I am Ann. I usually stream on Reaper Miniatures Twitch, but they're doing their new Twitch studio today. They're finishing out the build, and so my usual Reaper employee could not start my stream over there, so I am doing my stream on my own channel instead. But you can usually find me there 11:30 Central USA Central Time to 1. Hi, Kiwi. Sorry, old dog is disruptive here. She got up and looked at me like I might need to get up. But I think she's just restless. We will hopefully let her settle down a little bit. Sometimes we have dog emergencies where I have to rush her out, but good girl. She's settled back down. We're safe. We're safe for now. But yeah, so all right, I'm mixing up some white now so I can like continue with this face and hit the really high highlights on it. We were working on that little guy. Kind of Rubicon. I'm thinking I'm going to do something, but I'm going to see what I can do. Because of the size of the scales, they somewhat limit you as to how much of a pattern you can do with them, unless you're willing to make different scales, unless you're willing to put more than one color on a scale, and then you kind of lose the whole scale pattern thing. So we'll see. I was going to work it with red, gold, and blue. We'll see how it does. Alrighty, where are we? Ah, yeah, face. That's right, face. And face does not have its super bright highlight on it, so it doesn't really look like metal yet. You can see very much so that it doesn't quite look like metal yet. And then what we do is we bring in the light with just a little touches of pure white. I thinned this down about 2:1 paint to water, so I'm working with very thin white because I want to be able to put it on in very small touches. And if you want something to come off a tiny brush, you gotta thin it. This may seem counterintuitive, but white is so high coverage that even when you thin it a lot, it's still gonna be very bright when you put it down on the model. Do a little bit there, a little bit there. Again, I'm kind of looking at where's my light. Actually, it's 4 drops. Oh, is it Fire Giant Skin? 2 drops Dungeon Gray, 3 drops. Okay, so 3 Goblin, 3 Kobold, 2 Eldritch Purple, 2 drops Dungeon Gray. Thanks for the correction, Inara. See, it's been a while, and so I've forgotten. I knew it was those colors, and I would have figured it out eventually, but yeah. Makes sense, since it's orange, that it would have the red, more of the red and the orange. Boop, boop, boop. Then I'm gonna kind of see, you put those bits of white in, and suddenly, and then you need to bring in your under reflection. So you need to kind of down at the bottom here, pop the highlights up here. Highlights equal light. They always equal light. So wherever you put your highlight is where your light is. And if you put your highlight in a weird place that would be in shadow, it will not look very real. And when you're trying to do things like non-metallic metal, then it becomes extremely important to bring your highlights in correctly, or it won't carry the effect of metal. So here I'm going to have this start to come down. I need to put a little bit more variance. There would be a little bit of light skating down this, and then it would come up here. And if you're not sure how a surface would really read realistically, opt toward highlight, shadow, up to highlight, shadow, highlight. So you're always repeating your shadows and highlights in kind of in waves. That's kind of how you do a stylized generalistic NMM. And then this edge down here, where there's a kind of a cut here, there was a kind of a divot, there would definitely be a highlight catching that surface. So I'm putting a pure white in there. Yeah, the magic happens when you add the white. Because that's where the light comes in. Now you're saying definitively, this is light. It is hitting this model. It is hitting this area. That's when the eye really reads it as light. Shiny light, to be exact. If you don't go up to white, essentially what you're just saying is this surface is less shiny. So if you're doing a duller area, you do not take your highlight up as much. But anytime you're trying to do something shiny, then you're going to be taking your highlight up to white. Or up to whatever the brightest light source is on your model. But even when you're dealing with a colored firelight, you should probably get it close to white, an orange-white light. Or a blue-white, I guess, if you're doing blue. Blue fire, though, that can get a little bit difficult sometimes. I need to get a little bit on the underside of that nose. So what we've got now is some brightness, but I'm missing little touches. Like, light's going to reflect back up, so the underside of this nose is going to catch a little of it. I won't use white, though. I'm just going to use my NMM Gold Highlight plus Lantern Yellow to bring up a little bit of that underside light. Probably need a shadow on that cheekbone. I haven't put one in. When you get down to these really small areas, and I just did a video on this for my paint along people. That's my tier 4 people on my Patreon. And when you get to really tiny areas, all that matters really is highlight, shadow, and under reflection. Highlight, shadow, under reflection. If you can get those 3 things into a tiny place, it'll look okay. Even if it's just very stylistic, those are the cues that the eye is looking for. If you catch them all, you're going to be fine. You may need to brighten up your under reflection more than you would normally on a very small surface to have it read. NMM photographs better than true metallic metals because the camera has specific and stationary things to focus on. And also with true metallic metals, whatever lighting you have in your light booth is going to determine like how it reflects, right? So the problem with it, scrying eye, this is why people originally, why miniatures companies originally adopted NMM. Like, it just made everything look better in the photo because it's not catching any weird reflections from your lighting studio. It's just painted. Your camera can focus on it and focus on it in exactly the right way. When you have true metallic metal, it is a pain to photograph. I mean, I try constantly to get good photographs of Mr. Grumpy here, but the problem is that depending on where the light is, you're coming up with various looks on this breastplate, right? Like, so it'll catch like some of the details, but it won't catch other details. And so how do I highlight this in a photo booth to make all of these great details come out? But if this was NMM, it'd be effortless because it's not a shiny surface. And so all of the details would be much more viewable on a camera. Do you see what I mean? So doing a reflective surface does make a model extremely difficult to photograph if you're trying to capture all of the subtleties that you put in on it. Hey, Daffodil, how's it going? Hey, we got 60 viewers. That's awesome. Almost to our 75. That's my unofficial total. I looked at, like, partner perks, and it's not like I need partner, although some of the stuff is cool. Like, I could do subscriber-only streams if I got partner. But I'm still using the 75 as kind of a goal, 75 viewers at a time, as a kind of a goal for myself, just because it seems like a good one. All right, I'm going to bring in... I'm doing the face so you can stop complaining, but I haven't done the sword because the face took a long time. Fire giant. You want to be actually...
Oh, yeah. The
little flat face.
Emblem.
Yeah, the face emblem. It looks very 3D now. It's not nearly as flat.
Cool.
But yeah,
that's the great thing about NMM is...
Yeah.
Before you shade and highlight, it can look really, really flat. And then once you shade and highlight, it totally has all of these dimensions.
3D.
And you can even create dimensions that aren't in the sculpt that way.
Yeah, which I did on this, because if you remember, this was extremely flat starting out. But yeah, what was I going to say? I really love Mr. Grumpy breastplate also, Mr. Mayhem. It's my eternal sorrow that I can't get it to photograph adequately no matter what I do. But I do still believe that true metallics look wonderful on things that are big, like busts, like Mr. Grumpy. And I dare say I will almost always reach for them unless I'm trying to do a very targeted effect. Like the bust that I'm itching to start now, and I'm getting closer and closer as I finish things, is a Templar, a female elven Templar bust that I've showed people before with some really elaborate armor. And I'm going to do that in NMM because it's so elaborate. So some of my judgment calls are going to be, how many tiny details does this have, right? Mr. Grumpy is a good one for true metallic metals because he doesn't have a lot of details on his breastplate, right? It's a very broad surface. And so there's just that little area. I'll have Giant will point to it. Haha, see that little area? This is so hilarious. Using Fire Giant as a pointer. But otherwise, other than that little divot there, and this dent is entirely artificial. But yeah, so there's not a lot of detail, which allows you to create all of this illusory detail, right? All this illusion of weathering and colors. You can see it when I tip it away from the light, right? And then the micro scratches and abrasions and dents. That's what lets you do so much of this awesome stuff. This big open space is just ripe for this sort of thing. And I think Kirill did sculpt this model specifically to be a class model, and so it makes sense that he left you this much room, because this is the technique, one of the techniques he's trying to teach you. But I also think that if there was more intricate detail on Mr. Grumpy's breastplate, like say he had more of a setup like this, where he had lots of little plates with detail and runes and freehand and all this stuff, then I probably would have wanted to paint him in NMM, because it's so hard to make all these tiny details stand out in metallics. The light just overwhelms you. Oh, vacation for ReaperCon. Almost forgot to cancel the flight. Oh my. Well, at least you remembered. It seems like you are not the only one. I think Dragon Eye said they also had vacation this week. Daftware. So you're in good company.
Yeah, I mean, Labor Day weekend, a lot of people are.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to be taking the whole week off. We should have thought of that, David. We should have thought of taking the whole week off. Oh, wait. I'm always working or not working. It's a freelancers. It's harder to take the whole week off. I would have to not stream, but I so enjoy streaming that I can't see why I would have canceled that. It's horrible when you enjoy your job. Not really. Taz and you took ReaperCon off. Oh, cool, Trouble. 2 days off for ReaperCon. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Nice long weekend. I know, right? I'm trying to get a whole bunch of stuff done for my Patreon so I can, like, slack on, for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of ReaperCon. Other than hanging out in my channel on Artist Alley and talking to you guys. Who knows? Maybe I'll do something else. I don't know. I don't want to distract anybody from ReaperCon, so I don't want to do a stream or anything. Other than the one I have scheduled, which is Friday morning. Justin did say, guys, that my show might be on Monday, on Labor Day. And I'm cool with that. So there wasn't a whole lot of programming on Monday. I think a lot of people just wanted to take Monday off. And so I may be streaming on Monday as well. So it could be Friday, Monday, back to normal. If so, then Monday I will continue work on Awesome Pirate Guy. Those of you who missed the front of the first part of the stream, I did get Mr. Pirate Guy, Mr. One-Eyed Willie, on his throne from ReaperCon, or from Reaper John. He sent it out to me. So I'm going to be working on this guy during my ReaperCon streams. That'll be this Friday at the usual time, 11:30 a.m. Central on twitch.tv/ I think it's just Reaper Miniatures still, I think. And then if I have to do something on Monday, I'll do the same thing. What I'm really thinking of, guys, is having these little balls having the balls down here glow, and light up his boots with this eerie blue glow or something. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I'm brainstorming. This model's so good. Jason did such a great job on it. Totally awesome, and we'll have fun. How about that? No matter what we do. Videos on the basics of brushes, brush type differences, care for brushes, cleaning. I am a terrible one, Wolfgang, for cleaning brushes. I'm awful. I never clean them. My cleaning... Oh, thanks, Jelly. Thanks for the follow. We're at 67 viewers. We're almost to our 75. That's super fantastic. Thank you all for tuning in. So for those of you who came in later, we are working on some non-metallic metal gold on his little face plate here. And actually, in reality, this is almost perfectly flat. There's just like the eye gouges and a little bit of suggested detail. One of our people made the suggestion that I do a before and after pic on some of these models. Like for this kind of thing, it would be very valuable. And he's absolutely right. He or she is absolutely right. So perhaps in the future, I'll have to plan around that. But yeah, we're doing this stuff. Everybody's talking about ReaperCon because Reaper is having its big convention. We're doing it digitally this year. It kicks off. Does it kick off Wednesday night, guys, or does it kick off Thursday? I think it kicks off Thursday, and then it goes through Monday. And I'm going to be streaming on the ReaperCon Reaper channel for Friday and probably Monday. And I also have a class. There's a class schedule up online. We're doing the classes on Zoom and on Twitch. Twitch classes are going to be recorded for posterity, so if you miss them, you can watch them after the fact. Zoom classes are going to be in person. We ask that you don't record them. Check my dog. Sorry, have elderly dog. Sometimes gets a little bit uppity and needs to be rushed out. Kiri, come settle. Come on, you're with us. Both your pack members are in the room, dog. Senile Shepherd. I need a hashtag Senile Shepherd, guys. Oh, I paused the chat again. Sorry. I was trying to catch up. But yeah, so we're talking, that's right, Wolfgang. I was talking about brushes. So my only redeeming, the only thing that redeems me really is that I rinse compulsively. If you guys ever pay attention while I'm painting, make a note of how often I'm rinsing my brush. I rinse my brush nonstop. And the reason for it is just usually because I'm trying to control my paint consistency. And so the minute the paint starts getting persnickety on me, I'll rinse it out and reload. But what that does over time, I've kind of figured out, is that it keeps paint from really creeping up and catching in the ferrule because I'm rinsing so very often. So my brushes stay in really good condition, even though I'm not cleaning them. Oh, thanks, Mean Mensch, for the cheer. Awesome. Thank you so much. We had fun. We got almost a level 4 hype train earlier. It was fantastic. I'm so grateful to you guys. Poor Kiri, good girl. Nobody wants a senile shepherd hashtag. Oh yeah. Fire giants are so much fun. I think they're big and chunky, and they've got such big details. You can get some good fun. Oh, hey David. Real Chibi is calling upon you, David, as my manager or managing entity. Make a command. Instead of X has licked their brush Y times and has rinsed her brush Y times this stream, so we can do an accurate count. David's like, I'm working.
It's also, I don't know how it would keep track.
Yes, exactly. I'd have to like hit like some button like every time I rinsed my brush, or somebody would have to input that data, and I don't know that that's doable. So touching up little white highlights here on our little face. It's a note for later. You don't have to do it right now, just later. We'd have to figure it out though, guys. Like, you'd almost want to set up an electronic sensor, right? So that we could figure it out.
We've so not automated this.
We've so not automated things.
Internet of Things does not need to create an internet-enabled, like, water brush rinsing cup.
We might have to. So Mathophile, I'm terrible about this. So, okay, let me highlight my bad brush habits. That way you know that you're not alone. You don't have to feel shame, okay? Okay, so I used to have a wonderful, like, I call it my fat ass mixing brush. It was a giant number 2. I think it was a Reaper. And I used that every time I had to rinse paint. I was really good about it. Then I lost that brush after I moved. And it became, like, I picked up the bad habit of using, because my Raphael is actually my biggest brush, I've been using it to mix. But because it's so big, most of the time, I mean, you can still see, I've never cleaned this sucker, and it has, like, no paint. Like, there's a tiny shadow there. There might be a tiny bit of paint getting up there, but not really. So yeah, so I totally, I'm totally bad habit on that right now. I have to acquire, I need to acquire a big cheap brush, and I think I've actually got one around here somewhere, and just reteach myself to use that for mixing. Because for one, using a bigger brush makes things mix faster. And 2, I really don't want to wreck this Raphael because I adore it right now. It has the perfect razor thin tip. I can do look at that thing. Look at that. What could you not do with a tip like this? Seriously. Oh, with the Meve one, it doesn't quite fit in the space provided. Really, I noticed, mine is fitting pretty well. The only thing I have to do is take off these 2 little vents. So if you haven't taken off these 2 little vents, that's key to having this fit right, I think. And then, of course, the vent on the bottom of the throne. Maybe that's why it's fitting right now, is that I don't have it. No, it looks like, I don't know. I'll share if mine has the same issue. I mean, there could be just a little bit of variance when you're dealing with the resin. But yeah, he looked like he sat pretty well when I kind of just socketed him in there. Haven't been, but yes, Jelly. I'm totally avoiding painting these bracelets. Because they're annoying. And also though, because David, is annoyed at here. Let's deal with this. The face is looking pretty good right now. I'm okay with that. I've got, actually, you know what I forgot? So, okay, the thing that's missing here is an under reflection. I got my highlight, I've got my deep shadow here, but I have nothing in this little frame right there. And that's a problem. So let's put that under reflection in. Remember, when you're dealing with little areas, break them down. And, my paint along people on my Patreon are going to be doing this on the Dragonkin that we're working on, because he has a whole bunch of little fiddly bits. For example, his little hilts here, and his tiny little gold things on his bracers, and the thing on the end of the scabbard. That's what my paint along tier is about. We're almost done with this model, guys. I painted this entire model for my paint along tier, like every single step. And we just have basing and a little bit of extra details to do, like his horns and eyes, next month. And then we're done with our first paint along model. So anybody who signs up for my Patreon on the $15 tier, after we're done with that model, can get all of the paint along lessons for that dragonkin all finished. But I'll let you guys know when it's done. Just in case you're like, you know, I can't afford $15 every month, but I can afford $15 one month to get all Anne's paint along things for that dragonkin. Because that's a thing. You can do it. And I totally understand budgeting. It's difficult. I think when you are working for yourself, you get a whole new appreciation of budgets. Or a whole new, you know, stream of curse words for budgets. One or the other, right? So now I'm trying to, like, fine-tune. Like, I really need, I need some light catching on the inside of these little eye sockets because it's an edge and it would catch the light. So I'm trying to judge how far I want those to be highlighted up. But yeah, originally this stream I was planning on working on the top of the sword because David was annoyed at it. And then I got totally distracted by Tiny Giant Face instead. Tiny Giant Face took over. And see, now I've gotten too much light on this eye. I need to knock that back. This is where the futzing comes in, guys. When you're doing a little tiny bit of NMM and you're like, all right, now that looks good, but the rest of this doesn't look good at all. And then you have to kind of figure out, well, this is too much of a highlight. I need to narrow it down. Highlights are pretty pinpoint on metal, so you don't want a huge broad. It's the same reason I didn't do a huge broad stripe of white up here, which in the old days of my painting I would have, because I didn't understand as well what I was trying to do. So sometimes you minimize your highlight just a little, and it becomes more effective when you do. So really have to pay attention where our highlights really should be and how bright they should be. Now we're getting a little bit better. I'm gonna actually zoom out and take a look at this, because sometimes when you're really close, it helps. If you zoom out, let me see, zoom in one more time. And we kind of judgment call, right? You need to sometimes hold the model out at arm's length, or at least half arm's length, and look at it from somewhere that isn't right up close with it. And right now I can see I need a brighter highlight here. Looking at stuff, trying to figure out if I need to do anything. No, Dragon Eye. Actually, I posted in the Patreon in the channel for you guys for the Knights channel. My tier 4 is my my AMA Knights, and so my Painting Big Knights get to essentially suggest models, and then we'll all vote on them. So we have been picking Dark Sword models because I really like Dark Sword models. I especially like Jeff Grace's stuff because it tends to be a little simpler than some of the really complicated Reaper stuff. And for our first paint along, I definitely want a simpler model. But if people suggest, if people even suggest a bust, I'm up for it. I mean, you could suggest anything. Now that we've done a 28 and done pretty well with it, if they want to tackle a bust, the only thing I like to say is to keep it somewhat affordable. But I mean, there are some busts that are a little bit less expensive, but you're still, like, for a good bust, you're really on the hook for like $40 at least. So unless you're doing an academic bust or something where they keep it a little bit cheaper, but it's also very simple typically. It doesn't have a lot of things to work on when you get an academic, which can be good if it's your first bust. But so yeah, I'm open to suggestions. The only thing I really would not want to do with a paint along is like a dragon, because it's going to take forever. And anybody who used to watch when we had the old Reaper Toolbox live show on Wednesdays, where I painted The Dance of Death by Julie Guthrie, which had 2 dragons in it and a mountain, and it took us a year and a half. So I don't want that. I want people to be able to get their, you know, get some value out of it and get a figure done in a decent amount of months. Because people get behind, right? I know that several of my $15 backers are, you know, working slowly to catch up. And I don't want to stick them with a huge model that, you know, that's all scales. I think that would be evil and wicked. All right, I'm just putting in a little bit more dark shadow here. Make that face really come out. I'm keeping my camera zoomed out a little bit because I want to see relatively how it looks at a distance. I'm getting pretty satisfied with it. I feel like I need a little bit more dark down here. The ruddy leather adds a nice rich reddish shadow, but it doesn't add quite as dark a shadow as you need for some areas. So you're still bringing in a dark brown here and there to get the right amount of drama per se. And if I'm missing any questions, I know chat is flying. Oh yeah, you can suggest busts. Yeah, Chibi. Just put up, which company, a link if you can, or a photo if you can snab one off of their site. And that way everybody can look at it, and we can all consider it when we're putting together our list to vote on. There we go. So now I've got a little bit more. See how I brought in more shadows, more of that black and brown, and now everything is standing out better? It is very bright, and it definitely draws the eye, right? Like, if anything, the problem with doing this is that now I have a second face right near the first face, and the second face pops out more than the fire giant's actual face because his face is dark. So I'm going to stop there, I think. I think the face is brought up fairly well. It looks shiny to me. I probably could bring up a little bit more of a highlight on the underside with a little bit of white mixed with a little bit of yellow. Again, you don't want to go up quite as high with your under reflections, but you do want to go up to the point where you can tell that light is bouncing. And sometimes that's just a call you have to make. When you're looking at it, you're like, it's not quite bright enough. It feels like it needs a little more. It can also be hard to make this kind of call when you're in the middle of painting everything around it. So I may leave it like this, what I call a soft finish. Then when I finish everything else around it, I may adjust. But I think that that's pretty shiny right now. I may actually hit a little bit of this edge just with bounce light, because there's light bouncing all over the place in this. Metal, I'm going to just get I want tiny little touches at the very tip. I don't want a lot of bounce light over here, but I want the edges to pick up a little bit. Because the light's falling down, it would probably hit these little edges. So I want very fine tip on my brush, very thin paint. And if it's not coming off sufficiently, that means not that I don't have enough paint on my brush. It means my paint is not thin enough. There's not enough paint when you're dealing with something this small. No matter how little paint you have on your brush, if it's the right consistency for this, it should come off. So if you are finding that your paint does not come off your paint is too thick. Oh, you did the rinse thing. I didn't catch it. Yeah, Temple Dragon. The problem with dragons is that they're kind of boring. Like, you do the wing, you do the head, you do, like, the neck, and then you're like, okay, underbelly. I've shown you everything I can show you on a dragon. That's the thing. Dragons are not, like, difficult. They're just a marathon. Dragons are not hard. Because you're really doing the same thing over and over and over, which is why it's so difficult to do. Because it is a marathon, not a sprint. Explanation point rinse. Sweet. Yeah, you'd do a tiny one for a class. Yeah, and Temple Dragon's not a bad one. I actually have like 2 copies of Temple Dragon, I think. In fact, if you guys want me to paint a Temple Dragon on stream, we could probably do that. Yeah, the only reason I haven't done it before now, because I really do like that model in Aura, but it tends to be out of stock at Reaper. It seems like that dragon sells like crazy, and last time I checked, before I moved, it was out of stock, so I'd have to double check. Yeah, dragon airbrush, well, not really, Val, because you still gotta at least like line or highlight the scales if you want it to look really good. If you're doing anything, I mean, you can airbrush a dragon, and it'll look fine. You at least need to do the eyes, you know. Yeah, there is, but we were out of stock. It's actually... We almost are never out of stock on metal when we have a metal variant, because we can just go in the back and cast more. Where we tend to get out of stock for longer periods of time is bones, because then we're putting in, we're not ordering every week from China. These are big orders that take a couple of months to process. So that's where, when we have a really popular bones model, it can just sell out, and then I have to wait for a few months. Yeah, exactly. A beholder can be the same way, right? When in doubt, paint a Rocky. Yes, and I do have 2 other Rockies. I have Pouncing Rocky and Flying Rocky. But I need to think about how I wanted to do them, make them interesting. Says in stock in both plastic and metal. All right, well, we can do Temple Dragon on the stream sometime. I'd rather do something else for our paint along, however, patrons. I like to do stuff that maybe takes a little longer. I mean, I guess we could do it. It's up to you guys. I mean, it'll come down to a vote, right? And I only get 1 vote. So if you guys all want Temple Dragon for our next paint along, we can do it. 2-foot ceramic dragon. Wow. Yeah, Val. That's the marathon right there. At least, you know, if you're doing it quick, if you're doing it with an airbrush, you're doing it really fast with big brushes, then it doesn't have to take a long time. So how does the paint command work, sweetie? Do people just hit ! paint when they hear me rinse, or what?
I made it so that only you can use it.
Oh, only I can use it? Well, then I need to, like, do it. I need to get on it. All right, so maybe next stream, remind me. Oh, but this is only in mine. Okay, so my next stream, which would be tomorrow afternoon at 4:30 p.m. Central Time. Yeah, the paint along is really for my patrons who are up at the $15 tier. That's our thing. We do the paint along. So yeah, it's all what they want. So we'll see. I'm sure somebody in this chat is in there, and will, if they feel like it, they'll put up the Temple Dragon. But another 28mm dark sword. Yeah, Kaz. I really feel like dark sword has excellent models for paint-alongs. Like, they have just the right amount of fiddly detail. They have just the right amount of smooth surfaces. The one thing they don't have is that they don't have a lot of big, billowing smooth cloth. Like, because Jeff Grace gets as close as you get, but I don't have a lot of area to do a lot of, like, cloak freehand, like, big designs on the back of it. Because of the way Tom Meyer sculpts cloth, because of the way that Jeff Grace sculpts cloth, they're trying to make it interesting, and they're not leaving it blank for freehand. Whereas Bobby Jackson often will leave you a lot of space, like toward the bottom, with big, rounded folds. So that's like one thing where I feel like we'd almost need to do a Bobby Templar if we wanted that smooth layering on cloth and then the freehand. Oh, it may be your device. I didn't change any settings. What was that, Val? Yeah, you could totally suggest a chibi if you're in a paint along. I'm up for a chibi. I'm not as into chibis as some people, and I'll tend to paint a chibi very similar to how I'll paint anything, except for, of course, the eyes. You have to get the eyes right on the chibis. Huh. Weird. Weird, Xander. That's very odd. I could just be messing too much with chat. I'll stop. Yeah, I've got one of those Scale 75s, the little one in the pith helmet, but I don't know where I put her. All right, so I think this face is looking pretty good now. I've got a little bit of an under reflection there. I think I need to bring it up just a tad. Just a little bit. Let's see what we got. Oh, we're at 11:05, so it's about time to wrap it up because Kiri is going to explode soon. Need to take out Small Dog. Boop. A little bit of a highlight. A little bit of a highlight. A little bit of a highlight. A little bit of an under highlight. Putting our little reflections in, and now our face looks awesome. Oh yeah, thanks. We need to raid somebody, guys. It doesn't matter. I mean, if there is a cool model, if you're in my Patreon in the paint along tier, if there is a cool model, I don't care what company, you can suggest a Games Workshop model. I mean, the only downside there is they're so bloody expensive, but they're great. So just make it a good model. That's the thing, is I do draw the line at like anything old or kind of with crappy sculpt. I like a nice, crisp, clean sculpt because I always tell this to people, and this is the biggest part of competition painting is model selection. A lot of people will choose a model that might have areas that are kind of mucky or not sculpted quite as cleanly. the model is fighting you at that point. If you're going to choose a model for an instructional video or for a paint along or for a competition, choose a model that has as few issues as possible, because then it's all you painting it. You are not fighting the model on any given point. You don't have to resculpt something to enjoy the model. You know, as so many people I've been trying to mentor have just picked a model that's kind of like, well, this model has issues. The sculpt has issues. It's not their paint job. It makes it more difficult, and it takes time to realize, like, really to get an eye for what's a good crisp sculpt, what's a sculpt that's not going to fight you with your painting style. You know, so that's just something I wanted to say. All right, cool. Yeah, it's easier to do a great paint job on a great model. Exactly, Daffodouir. Yeah, so we don't want to pick something that has, like, intrinsic issues or areas that are really difficult necessarily, unless that's something we're specifically focusing on. There are depressingly good artists out there. Yeah, I know. I'm one of them. But even I think there are depressingly great artists out there. You know, like, I look at David's stuff and I'm like, oh, I need to learn to do light like him. You know, that kind of thing. Wapple with his oils, the stuff that he does, it's like, I need to learn that, you know. But that's the greatness about miniature painting, guys, is there are so many people. There's always somebody who does something that makes you go, wow. No matter how long you've been in the hobby, I've been in this hobby almost 30 years. There are still people who I see who go, wow. And you know what? If there weren't, if I ran out of people that were able to do work that was, like, in my mind, more awesome than mine, it would be a depressing day. Jennifer Haley and I used to talk about this back when we were kind of at the top of the game. And we were so depressed because we'd go to shows and we wouldn't see anything that made us light up and go, wow. And that was a big, like that was so disappointing. Like, there should always be something out there. No matter how good you are, there is always someone who's gonna, like, bring something to a show and it's just gonna light you up. And that's, we always want that, because we never know everything. We always are learning, and so you want to seek out those encounters if you can. It keeps you inspired. It keeps you going. So, all right, who do we want to raid? Let me see. I think I actually have some stuff up. Who is online right now? Let me look. I don't know. Do we want to do somebody in the art, or do we want to do somebody in mini painting? Do you guys have a Miniatures Den has a giveaway? Orchrist Gaming is going live soon. It's a struggle. So many things to learn. Yeah, I really should put out my list of, like, techniques you should learn in what order, Cooves. I, like, have that. Maybe I'll put it out as a freebie on my Patreon. Oh, Luca's on? Yeah, should we do Miniatures Den? Let's raid Luca. He raids me before. He's raided me before. So let's see. So it's a slash. Uh-oh. Gotta get my slash raid Miniatures Den. Right? All right, are we ready? Yeah, I can put that. I can do that for my Patreon. It'll have to be next month because I'm, like, rushing to finish some stuff. Thanks, you guys, for coming. We got, like, I think we topped out at, like, 67 viewers or something. That's almost a 75. We could totally get this. All right, I'm clicking the click. We are queuing up to raid Miniatures Den. Please say hi to Luca. I will be on tomorrow at my normal time on Reaper Miniatures Twitch, and then I will also be on tomorrow afternoon, guys, at 4:30 p.m. Central Time, okay? For my, right here in Painting Big. Let's rock it. All right, we are raiding.
And yes, we're actually doing a giveaway for a Reaper code today, and everybody can join it. You don't have to be subbed or anything. Just type exclamation mark code and you will join the giveaway. Give me, god damn it. Thank you. Thank you for the raid, and hello, Scholar. Good day, dude. Image of betrayal. Thank you for the follow. How you doing? Oh yeah, just quickly web blending stuff in. Wanting to get this leg to be shining. Hey, thank you, mistress. Thank you, baby. Hey, yeah. Thank you so much, mistress. Welcome on. Refresh the stream. You will no longer see adverts. Thanks to mistress gifting you a sub. You will no longer have to sub.
Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus now bundled together. The greatest stories and characters, the largest streaming TV library, and exclusive sports. Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus. Get all three for only $12.99 a month.
We're going to be doing an AMA to celebrate the unsung heroes of Twitch. The moderators, man. The community wouldn't be what it is without you and the mods.
Thank you so much.
Vor is here. How you doing today, sir?
I'm great.
This is my unsung hero of Twitch.
Miller Lite and I want to thank you for everything you do.
All of the Miller Lite cheer modes that you see in chat, all of it goes to you.
They are going to the donation.
Oh my god.
4,000! What are you thinking right now?
And thank you for allowing me to do what I did.
All the mods.